Welcome back to Guild Wars Prophecies. You'll see that I've been a little bit busy while I was off camera. This is Charr hide armor. It is one of two armors that you can get in this area. That is the highest tier that you can get for the area. The other being upgraded Ascalonian armor, which is the recruit armor that you start with. Looks exactly the same, except it's throughout the rest of the game it's called Ascalon armor. I went with the Charr hide armor because I can't get what I want. The thing that I was looking at here is back to some of the carvings I didn't focus on earlier. The one back to the left was Lissa. The one in white that we just looked at was Duena. That's Baltazar back there. Then Melandru, and of course that's Grinth. These are all depictions of the human gods of Tyria, what the humans call the world that they live on here. I'm not going to get fully into all that lore, but there's a lot of lore from the gods. I pointed out some of it. You can see that as far as the religion goes and the human gods of Tyria, you can see they take it pretty seriously. The monuments have been around for a long time. We couldn't see any of those that we were just looking at, of course, because they were inside one of the buildings way in the back of Ascalon City that we couldn't get to or into. This is one of the, out of all of the Krytan armor, this is upgraded Krytan armor. If you'll notice the specs, it's actually much more armor protection than the Krytan armor that we just got in pre-searing. Adds, I think, 20 points of defense. However, the premium armor, the Charr hide armor that I already got, is like another 10 or 15 beyond that. But the Krytan armor is cheap, whereas I had to dig into my Zunalai chest and dig out some gold and some collector's resources in order to pay for the Charr hide armor. But I figured it was worth it. Probably won't stay with the Charr hide armor. I may spend some time dyeing this just for the fun of it. I've got quite a bit of dye. And later in the game especially, you can pick up a few hundred gold without too terribly much effort. The game never gets into, like World of Warcraft level of, when you first start the game in World of Warcraft, by the time you get up to level 10, you'll have saved up like 30 copper. Then by the time you get up to level 20, you'll have saved up like, 100 silver. Or you'll have gotten into like 4 gold, and then by the time you hit level 30 you'll have like 50 gold, 60 gold. By the time you hit level 40 you'll be getting up into 3, 4, 500 gold. That ramps up like that, and by the time you're in leveling at the 90s and the 100s, you're going to be getting like 20, 30, 40, 50 gold drops from mobs. Guild Wars never does that. It ramps up slightly in the later, once you get into the highest level enemies, where you might get drops of silver instead of quite a bit of silver. It never gets up into where a lot of the expensive things that seem expensive now are actually easy to pay for. And considering this is a semi-abandoned game, I guess would be the best way to put it. There just isn't that much of an economy in the game. It's gone closer back to defaults than it used to be. I pointed out in the dye, which is the biggest commodity I think in the game, black dye, still worth 2.1 plat. That's about, what was it? I think it was selling for about 5 plat when I was active, which would kind of indicate that the drop rates are kind of stabilized, or it could just be that demand has gone down that far that it's and yet it's still 10 times the price of everything else. Black dye is more rare. It's legitimately a rarer drop, and so that could explain the 10 times. Apologies for the allergies again. It's that time of year where I live, there's a ton of dust in the air. I'm allergic to dust, and there just really isn't. I mean, I've got a filtered fan running right behind me, and it still just isn't enough. Just now catching up to where we were. As you can see, we decided to head into Regent Valley. We've got the one quest that we already took care of in Regent Valley, which was to go escort the men that were sitting just the other side of the entrance. However, we now need to get into the Bandit territory. It's the Bandit territory from Pre-Searing is still Bandit territory. The difference is the Bandits now are all Elementalists, and this particular Bandit group is led by, if you'll remember, Gate Guard Torin in Pre-Searing. He is now the leader of this group of bandits that hangs out in this area where there used to be a whole lot of scaled brood collars. The problem with that is that all the Elementalists, of course, cast a meteor shower on you, so you really need to pay attention for if they cast meteor shower in your area like that, you need to get out of that area as soon as you can. Thankfully, since I went ahead and picked up the higher level armor, as a warrior, it's not hurting me too much to stand there and hit close. If I was a base caster class with lower level armor, it would probably have knocked my health down quite a bit more than it did. But anyway, we need to wipe out these Elementalists. I've got to make it through another few groups of Elementalists. Then we can wipe out Torin the Gate Guard, Torin the Bandit, which will resolve the quest of Ambassador's Quandary. Which, if you don't remember, the text of that was that Ambassador Zane was trying to get in contact with Fort Ranik and send aid over to the Fort Ranik settlement to try to help repel the Charr and aid the people that were in Fort Ranik. And his supplies kept getting hijacked by a bandit named Torin, and since he didn't feel he could act against them due to his poor standing with King Adalburn, he asked that we deal with them since we're Tyrian Ascalonian citizens. This is roughly we're in about the same location as the hidden garden. I can't remember what it was called. Secret garden, where Professor Yackington and Nicholas Sanford were. We're in the same area as that. And of course it's completely gone in Post-Searing. But we'll take care of Torin, and then we've got to go through a couple of steps getting into Fort Ranik. Although, except for the cooperative mission, which will be the second mission we do, there really isn't anything to do in Fort Ranik right now. Alright, I'm going to cross back over. This here is the approach to Fort Ranik. You can see they are currently being attacked by a small patrol of Charr. Or in fact, a laughably small patrol of Charr. However, one of the things I have to admit, something I didn't comment on earlier when I took on the Elementalists, when I first started playing this game, and it took a long time until I really started grasping how to get a hang on playing this game solo. Because there's certain things you really have to do solo as opposed to playing in a group. It's a more difficult game anyway. It's not geared for solo play at all. I mean, you know, like World of Warcraft these days is geared almost exclusively for solo play, but still has multiplayer elements for people who enjoy that. But the open world stuff is almost exclusively geared towards solo play. Guild Wars never did that. They added things to make solo play or small group play more tenable, like adding in the henchmen and the hero slots that we'll get to later in the game. But it's really not solo friendly, and so there's certain things you have to do. One of the things that they added to help you get through all of this part of the game easier is towards the end of the last bit of the game, they provided this fire imp that you can summon. He levels with you. He is a badass, and technically I could probably do my leveling all through this without bringing a party along. Just me and the fire imp could probably take care of all this. However, I just like the fun of bringing an entire party along. Alright, so Fort Ranik, almost exactly the same, except that it's obviously been damaged a little bit by the searing as well. Got some damaged walls in places. The doors are braced up. But there's nothing to do there except for the cooperative mission, but we're not going to do the cooperative mission yet. Right now I'm just taking a look to see if getting to Fort Ranik opened up any more quests out here. It didn't, so we're going to go ahead and head back to Ambassador Zane, let him know that we took care of Gate Guard Torin. He will hand us another quest here in a second, which will be Gate Guard Hollis, who took Gate Guard Torin's place. And of course, that's conceivably how the Gate Guard Torin thing turned to Bandit Torin took place too. They actually never really go into detail that I know of. But anyway, this guy, Ambassador Zane, is now going to have us deliver a package to Gate Guard Hollis in the breach with the evidence that Gate Guard Hollis requires to facilitate him providing protection for Ambassador Zane and his men while they are in Ascalon. And going to take a detour before we do that. Turn in. No, that wasn't a turn in. That was just looking at the collector there, so I could keep track of what they were doing. Since I decided I'm going to pick up the Krytan armor too. Anyway, now we're heading over here to this collector. He has the other piece, the Krytan Leggings. We picked up the Krytan Gauntlets. Now we need 4 Grawl necklaces in order to get the Krytan Leggings. These are the only 2 pieces that we can get in this neck of the woods. We're going to have to get much further into the Northlands in order to reach the other 2 collectors who have the current tier of Krytan armor. So once we finish up, we need to locate some Grawl. Here's some Grawl as you get closer back to Ashford and the remains of the catacombs. We now have enough Grawl necklaces. We can head back, pick up the Krytan Leggings, and again, we're not going to be putting them on right now because we're actually wearing better armor than that, but I like collector armor just as a concept. Go kill this boss again, which will give us a +4 morale. Help going forward because we are about to go ahead and cross the Great Northern Wall and do some adventuring on the other side of the wall because that's the only quest that we have right now. Once we work out everything that gets us to Piken Square, I suspect I'll go ahead and do the first and second cooperative missions, which is going to open up a whole lot more quests in this basic area for us to take care of. But once we get this battle out of the way, we're going to go ahead and head over into the breach. Here's Gate Guard Hollis. We'll turn this quest in, and the evidence that Hollis needed in order to provide protection for the ambassador, proof that the ambassador was here on a mission of peace, is basically just a bribe. So we'll need to take Hollis's thanks back to the ambassador, but for right now we have a Charr force that is attacking just beyond this wall that we need to help the small force that's stationed here head off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 or 14, 16 maybe. And it's my group, 2 hammer guards, a monk, and a swordsman captain. And here they come. This is a multi-wave attack, and we just need to... Oh, there he goes. We better not let him die. But as you can see, we can actually put a hand on the Charr at this point. What do you know, a monk? You can do it. I've got one of my other characters is a necromancer warrior, and I made it to end game, but I haven't been able to beat the final mission yet. I actually want an ultimate mission because, is that right? Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I did it, I can't remember which order they're in. You've got where you have to, there's the end game mission, and if I remember correctly, there's actually something called like mopping up, where you have to travel all over the world, and that's a mission that was added on. Okay, is this the last wave, or is there another wave after this? I think there's another wave after this. Okay, there's that quest done, which was Into the Breach. And spend some level up points. We have 2 more quests that we have to take care of. Quest number 1 is we need, and this is, you can go left or right here, and you follow along and have to fight your way through this river of tar that slows everybody down. Quit running away from me. Casters and bowmen, they always run away. Notice we're getting pretty decent XP from a lot of these though. Okay, another group of Charr. One thing that we're going to be using to our advantage pretty quick is whenever you enter one of these areas, cross in and reach all of that area. Nothing respawns. Once you kill something, it's dead in that instance because everything is instanced and nothing. No, that's not right. There is a respawn. I believe it's 45 minutes for almost everything. So these enemies that we're killing here will respawn in, I think, about 45 minutes. That's what it used to be. Anyway, the first thing that we need to go do is we need to, where that green dot is, we need to go, this is the supplies for the Duke, where the supply caravan that was sent in never showed up in Piken Square, but apparently messages are getting back and forth. So we've got to fight our way to where those men are, pick them up, and safely escort them. We've got to get them all the way. They're still alive. I guess technically you didn't know that. They could all be dead. But anyway, we fight our way through to them and then safely escort them to Piken Square. Remember, Piken Square is an area I pointed out in pre-season that we could visit. It was in the area across the northern wall. And it was pretty close. If you could go through the gate, which is permanently sealed now, it's actually just a straight shot. Boss. Piken Square itself is really just a pretty straight shot from where the gate is. However, because we have to go in by the breach, we don't have to run a diagonal line over. We have to go through that river of Charr to get there. Although, once you've got your hand on the game and once you're familiar with the area, it's not that long a trip. The area is not as big as it feels like at first. Okay, the dot has resolved, and there they are. We need to fight our way through this group, and we'll go pick those dudes up and escort them back to Piken Square, which we're not actually all that far away from. Like I said, the area is smaller than it seems. Okay, and here's Piken Square. You'll probably recognize some of the geography, like how we're about to enter into this area. Some of these ruins that we traveled through to get up into Piken Square, they've fortified the walls and the gates a little bit from what it used to be. The area that we just had to cross through is pretty similar to what it was in pre-Searing. We basically just made our way down the side of a cliff where we had killed a Charr patrol, or near where we had killed a Charr patrol previously, and cut through what used to be a lake. Now we need to head back and go find this boss that we're supposed to kill for the Charr staging area. And the dot is not in the right location. This has been bugged. My understanding is since the game came out and they never corrected it. You'll notice the dot is actually up on that bridge that we just crossed under. but that's not where the boss is. The boss is over on this side of this bridge, in this area right up here. See, the dot's telling us we need to turn around and go back behind us, and we need to get up on that bridge. And you can get up there, and this is the way to get it. But this is where the boss is. He's the yellow glowy thing right there. Yellow is black. So he is a boss warrior. And he's now dead. There's a couple of comrades that we need to wipe out. Romancer. Okay, and that takes care of all 3 standing quests that we had for entering the breach. We now need to run, since we didn't actually enter Piken Square because I didn't want to reset any of the enemies, we now need to run all the way back to Piken Square, and unfortunately we've had one of the regular Charr patrols that runs through this river heads cut through, so we're going to have to kill them. But now we need to run to Piken Square and turn in these quests. Okay, I'm about to play some pretty nice music, so I'm going to try to get most of this in pretty quick. I'm about to turn in, and then I'm going to pick up a few quests, and then I'm going to remember that there's a bunch of quests that you do out of Piken Square. Then I'm going to change my mind and drop all of the quests that I pick up here because I've decided to put those off for another time and record them separately. We've got a bunch of quests that cover the stuff out of Piken Square, covers a huge area, and so basically I'm going to do some housekeeping and then we're going to head back to Ascalon City. Okay, here I'm going to respec for sword, and I'm only going to speed this one up slightly so that you can kind of follow along with what I'm doing and see what kind of build that I put together here. I'm still trying to get back into the groove of how to play this game, and so I made a couple of dumb rookie mistakes with the builds that I've done so far. Alright, I double checked. There are no quests waiting for us in Ascalon City, and we're going to figure this out pretty quick that, you know, I'm wrapping up all of the available quests that I can get before using the missions to advance into the next stage of the game. So I'm slowly working myself into a corner. We've got turn this quest in to War Master Grast. This one was what, Into the Breach, wasn't it? Let me take a look. Yeah, that turned into the breach. Now we need to head back to Ambassador Zane and turn in a mission of peace. Which takes care of that. No skills to get out of that one. Now we need to go turn in the Charr staging area back at the breach. Excuse me, not back at the breach with Ninte. Ninta. I've never looked up how to pronounce that. Ninte? Ninta? Nint? Nint? He hands us a couple of good skills that we're not going to equip right now. And I verified for myself that there are no more quests available, so we're going to call it quits here, and we'll come back to probably do a couple of cooperative missions.